Hi everyone and welcome back to another video in my How to Make series. This week I'll be showing you how to make a lamb burger with potato wedges. There are quite a few different elements to this dish and I'll be focusing on 3 of them: the potato wedges, the burger bun and a butter bean hummus. Feel free to get creative with the other garnishes. I used what I had to hand and I'll try and offer alternatives in the video and in the description below. I'll also be showing you some tips and techniques to reduce your food waste by using odds and ends up in your kitchen and incorporating them into your recipes. The first step is to make the potato wedges. Bring a pot of salted water to the boil and then chop your potatoes into wedges. There's no need to peel them, the peel adds great flavour and doesn't stop them becoming crunchy. Boil the potatoes until they soften around the edges, about 5 to 8 minutes. At this point, strain them through a colander and allow them to cool completely. This does 2 things. It helps them firm up, meaning they're much easier to handle, and it also dries the surface, making them much crunchier in the oven. For the patty, I had a look around to see if there was anything I could use up and incorporate into the burger. To add a slight sweetness to the patty, I added half an onion. I diced it finely with my knife, first making vertical cuts across the onion before making one horizontal cut, and then slicing across to make fine dice. Rosemary and lamb is a classic combination, and I have a rosemary bush in the garden which needed a prune, so there was some in the kitchen drying. I finely chopped this and added it as well. I had a couple of ends from the last few sourdough loaves I've made, and they were completely stale, so I thought I'd make them into breadcrumbs and add them to the burger mix too. Adding dry breadcrumbs to a burger mix helps absorb fat as it renders out of the meat, and it keeps it more juicy. Adding a tablespoon of milk further hydrates the mix. Making breadcrumbs is a great way to use up stale bread, and they're a really valuable resource in the kitchen, as toppings for gratins or pasta dishes, or in nut roasts, meatballs or stuffings. I seasoned my 20% fat lamb mince with salt and pepper, and added the onion, the rosemary and the breadcrumbs. I love the subtle warmth and background heat you get from Dijon mustard, so I added a tablespoon or so of that to the mix as well. Combine all the ingredients with your hands and then shape into patties, before storing in the fridge until you're ready to cook them. If you're unsure about the seasoning, take a little piece of the meat and fry it off to taste before adjusting accordingly. I thought some Middle Eastern flavours would really complement the lamb, and so I decided to make a hummus to go along with it. Having had a look through the kitchen, I found I had the remains of a jar of tahini, some old lemons, a clove of garlic and some olive oil, but I didn't have any chickpeas. However, in the cupboard I did have some butter beans, and these proved to be a really good alternative. I like to adjust the flavour as I go, adding more tahini and olive oil for the richness, a bit of garlic for that pungency, salt and lemon juice for acidity. Once I found a flavour combination I liked, I used a little bit of water to let it down to the consistency I wanted. About an hour and a half before you want to cook, set your oven to 200 degrees Celsius and add a tray for the potatoes to get really hot. Once the oven's reached temperature, take the tray out, add about 40 to 50 ml of oil and add your potatoes. Make sure to cover them completely before returning to the oven. After about 30 minutes in the oven, take the potatoes out and toss them around in the tray. They'll start to become golden at this point, but there's still a long way to go. After the potatoes have been in the oven for about 40 minutes, I got a heavy cast iron pan on the hob and prepared to cook the burgers. Once a small amount of oil was smoking in the pan, I added the patties and left them cooking one side down for 2 to 3 minutes before flipping them and doing the same to the other side. After 6 to 7 minutes cooking, they had a good colour on both sides but weren't cooked through, so I added them to the oven along with the potatoes to cook for a further 10 minutes. Once the potatoes were cooked and the burgers almost done, I removed the potatoes and added a strong cheddar to the burger before adding back to the oven. I drained the potatoes on some kitchen towel and set aside ready for plating. I built my burger starting with the toasted sourdough bun, and then added some of the hummus, some tomatoes and some pickled cucumbers before adding the patty. For some added sweetness, I added some caramelised onion chutney I had in the fridge. Lamb pairs well with so many different herbs and spices. I chose rosemary, but a combination of cumin and coriander would be absolutely delicious. Or give it an Asian flavour with some Szechuan Peppercorns. There's really no need to follow any particular recipe when making something like this. It's all about feel and personal taste, so go ahead and get creative in the kitchen. Once again, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button and leave a comment below. If you'd like to follow me on Instagram, my handle is in the description below. See you next week.